Okay, let's get the latest now on another big story we've been following for quite some time. Venezuela's deepening political crisis will see the UN Security Council convene in, just a couple of hours or so from now, I believe, to vote on rival resolutions coming from Russia and also the US. Washington has spent more than a month leading efforts to oust President Maduro in favor of opposition leader Juan Guaido, who declared himself to be Venezuela's interim president. Well, let's get more now on what is expected at the UN later with our correspondent Ilya Petrenko. Ilya, do we know much about the differences between the resolutions?
Yunin, hello. Well, we are expecting another tough encounter at the UN Security Council. Well, when you look at UN Security Council resolution drafts, the vital thing to understand is what's in the core, what the priorities are. And in the Russian one, it is the sovereignty and independence of Venezuela and also the condemnation of outside interference. Let's have a look at what else is in that draft.
Expressing concern over the threats to use force against the territorial integrity and political independence of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Besides this, Moscow wants everything to be decided within the UN framework. It also it wants the UN Security Council to call for peaceful talks involving all sides under the Venezuelan constitution. And Moscow is already saying that it will block the American rival revolution. They've called it a mix of demagoguery, accusatory rhetoric, and ultimatums. Now, if we look at the American resolution, its pillars are early and fair democratic elections and also an immediate green light for the humanitarian aid deliveries. However, the Venezuelan leadership believes that the only reason why Washington is trying to squeeze in this humanitarian aid is to find a pretext for military intervention. The Maduro government also says that they are trying to possibly sneak in some sort of equipment or other stuff that may fuel violent unrest in the country. However, the Venezuelan government says they are happy to get humanitarian aid from the Red Cross or the EU. Now, these concerns that I mentioned earlier are shared by Moscow. As I've said, it's going to be a real fist fight, probably more of a word fight in the UN Security Council, and it looks like we're headed for another stalemate because the Russians will be vetoing the American resolution. The same thing is almost certainly going to happen vice versa.
Yeah, thanks for taking us through all of that. RT correspondent Ilya Petrenko in downtown Moscow. A major French sporting goods retailer has dropped plans to sell a sports version of the hijab in France. Decathlon said it had hoped to build on the successful sales the garment had generated in Morocco. Charlotte Dubinsky explains why the idea sparked controversy before even reaching the shelves.
It's incredible how such a small piece of material can cause such a commotion. But here in France, that's exactly what's happened over plans by the retailer Decathlon to stock a sports version of a hijab, a Muslim headscarf. As well as an outpouring of Twitter outrage, several politicians have called for a boycott of Decathlon.
Sport emancipates, it does not submit. My choice as a woman and a citizen will be to no longer trust a brand that breaks with our values.
The French health minister has also waded into the debate.
It's legal, but it's a vision of women that I do not share. I think it does not fit well with the values of our country.
France is a secular country where the hijab, as well as the Christian cross, have been banished from state classrooms and also from government offices. Now, religious symbols aren't outlawed, and in fact, they're a common sight on the streets of France. But many argue that face and body-covering garments, such as those worn by Muslim women, are seen as being a method to subjugate them. But others, including Decathlon, say such items make it easier for Muslim women to take part in activities such as sports.
Women should be able to wear whatever they like. Forbidding to sell this clothes is just ridiculous.
It shocked me that they had to cancel the sales.
It's not an act of secularism. I will not go so far as to say Islamophobic, but it's very anti-Islamic.
People should dress according to their own tastes. I don't think there's much controversy about this issue.
If women choose to wear it, we must respect it.
So if she wants to wear it, you know, it's her choice.
But the backlash has been so big that even Decathlon staff say they have been threatened.
Our customer service team has received over 500 calls and emails since this morning. Our teams and our stores have been insulted and threatened, sometimes physically.
Before the product even got out of the starting blocks, the force of the opposition saw Decathlon back down. It will no longer sell a sports hijab here. But it's a no-win situation for the retailer, which is also being criticised for pandering to collective hysteria that reveals the level of Islamophobia here in France. Charlotte Dubinsky, RT, Paris.
Is a new Cold War heating up, and how can it be stopped? Oksana is asking those and more questions next on Worlds Apart. Stay with us.